Hello and welcome to Intuitive Insights. Today we're going to be talking about the new moon in Pisces.
Yay!
Yes. This is a really, really beautiful energy, I think. I'm really enjoying just kind of sinking into it. It feels very receptive. Generally, when we talk about new moons, we're talking about the start of a new cycle and the initiating and the setting the intentions and planting the seeds. It's very action-oriented kind of energy. But this new moon, being in Pisces, being also conjunct Mercury retrograde in Pisces, has a very different kind of feel to it. It's a much more receptive. It's much more just sort of about kind of being open to continuing to receive the downloads and the understandings and the blessings. It almost feels as though just being conjunct Mercury, it's much more, Mercury is retrograde, is almost taking over this new moon and kind of pulling it into that energy, which is almost, it's a very, very magical Mercury retrograde season that we're in this time. It feels like it's like just a giant portal. We're receiving so many downloads, so many light codes, so much information, and we're, integrating that information. And it's just this beautiful, mysterious, otherworldly kind of energy that we're submerged in. And it's kind of cool because we have the sun, Mercury, and the moon, of course, all conjunct in Pisces. We also have Neptune in Pisces, lending that, and that's Neptune rules Pisces, so that's his home sign. So it's very much, that's a powerful, powerful energy. And then we have 4 planets that are in Capricorn right now. So we have Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars all in Capricorn.
Wow.
And so, yeah. So what that's doing, as far as, the way that I'm looking at it, is sort of allowing, it's like the Pisces energy is opening us up to receiving all of these downloads and all of this information. And then the Capricorn energies are helping us to ground that in and integrate that. So it's this beautiful supportive energy that kind of allows us to sort of dance around in the clouds, if you will, and kind of play with that Piscean energy. So Pisces is the final sign in the zodiac. So we're actually getting ready to move into the astrological new year, which begins with Aries, which is right around the time of the spring equinox, which to me makes a lot more sense as the start of the new year.
Right.
It's kind of funny, we start our new year, in America, and I think in most parts of the world, in January, in the dead of winter, which, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense as far as I'm concerned. The spring is when things are blooming and life is starting fresh and new, and that feels very much like the time to be celebrating a new year. So in a way, we already celebrated the beginning of 2020, but this is sort of like the full calling in of that energy, is when we step into that new year with Aries. And right now, we're in Pisces. We're just kind of taking that step back. We're digesting everything. We're, closing out all of these old cycles. And just really, with the Mercury retrograde, having the timing that it's having right now and taking us during that time, like, deeper into that energy, is really looking at everything and coming to new understandings of everything that we've gone through, and really starting to understand what we need to let go of, and what cycles have played out and what cycles are over, and just surrendering into that and allowing that to happen. It's a big energy of surrender. It's a big energy of, for me, I think, I'm not going to be setting any intentions for this new moon. I'm just going to be allowing whatever comes to kind of come in.
I love that.
And just being in that really beautiful, open energy. It just feels like there's so much potential. There's so much potential, and it's such, a beautiful process of just allowing. It's like we were talking about, being in that void. Energy, that empty, that zero space where there's all of this stuff is left, and now we're just kind of like allowing that emptiness and that mystical kind of energy to surround us. And, we don't really know what's coming next. We are starting to have some ideas. All of this Capricorn energy is definitely allowing us to have some focus and sort of start to see how the pieces might fit together, but we don't really know yet. And we know that everything's going to keep changing and shifting. So all we can really do is kind of sit back and allow that process to happen. And just, it kind of feels like a vacation.
Yeah.
Like we get to take a vacation for the next month or so and just really not feel guilty about it.
That actually makes a lot of sense with the energies that I was feeling with, like, just being and, like, relaxing and, like, watching Netflix. And I was feeling really weird about it. Yeah. But Spirit's like, nope, you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is instead of this doing energy, it's just the energy of being. That's what we're being asked to do right now is like, do you know, okay, so you know how to do, you know how to accomplish, you know how to set tasks and accomplish those tasks and move forward, but do you know how to be? What does that feel like? Can you do that? Are you able to do that?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think I'm getting pretty good at it. I'm starting to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so that's absolutely, I think, a big part of this energy is just, it's that emotional healing, that integrating of energies, that sort of, our psychic abilities are going to continue to be kind of off the charts. Our intuition is going to be huge, and just allowing ourselves to get in touch with that aspect of our nature and ourselves, and just really, Pisces is all about the one. The collective consciousness, this everything that we talk about on this channel, pretty much. We're all one consciousness. We all of the esoteric and the unexplained and the unknown and all that different kinds of stuff. So really allowing ourselves to ponder that stuff too, and just play around with it, but not in that really aggressive way of like feeling like we need to understand everything and figure it out, but just opening ourselves up to the mystery of it.
It's like very curious type of energy.
Yes.
More playful.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Curious, playful.
I just got an image of the Page of Cups because it has the fish on it.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because that's really playful, childlike, like, oh, like, I'm just gonna love the earth and see what comes through it. Oh, that's magical. Let's go look at that. And, that type of energy, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's that being energy, too, is just allowing ourselves to be just in that sense of awe about the world around us. Like children, everything is so new and so magical.
Oh, my God.
And inspiring.
I just thought about how, because the video we just did about the closing of the 2020 portal.
Yep.
And entering into that new timeline. So with this new moon, as you were just saying that, like, it's a whole new world.
Yes. So you guys definitely have to check out that video that we just did on the 2020, the portal with all the twos, all the twos and all the zeros and all the twos. Because that's a big part of what this new moon energy too is. It's like anchoring in our new timelines and being fully present in what that feels like. So that's, I think, a huge way to really utilize this energy of this new moon is like, it's not necessarily like putting out specific intentions, but getting into that feeling space of like, what is this timeline that I want to anchor in? What am I choosing for the new reality that I'm going to create, and how does that feel? Because we can really get into that heart space and that feeling energy. Pisces is a very feeling energy. It's like,
what would it feel like if I was this, or doing this for a job, or I had this for an environment, or what would it feel like to know my value no matter what the outside world looks like? What would that feel like to truly feel loved and accepted by everybody, regardless of what people say or do?
Yeah, so really sinking into that experience of what that would be like. And we have a lot of energy that can really be helpful to allow us to to really sink into that visualizing and that experimenting and that being playful with our manifestation.
Yeah.
You know, it can be more relaxed, and it can be this kind of give and take exchange with the universe. It doesn't have to, we don't have to say, well, I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna put this energy out there, and I'm gonna light this candle, this color candle, and it's, you know, it could just be, no, I'm gonna sink back into that feeling of like what it is that I've been creating for myself, as if that creation already exists.
Yeah,
because it does.
Yeah, and being grateful for what we have also. And with this Pisces energy, I feel like it will be a lot easier to be in that state because the energy is so accessible. Yeah.
And it's all so connected right now. Everything is that Pisces energy of everything being connected. Yeah. You know, we're going to have the full moon, and the full moon actually happens on the day that Mercury goes direct, which is pretty crazy. And then Mercury still has the shadow period, which will last until the end of March. Mm-hmm. But it's just really cool how everything's kind of lining up together. And the full moon's going to be in Virgo, which is a very, you know, very action-oriented, strategic kind of planning sort of energy. Mm-hmm. So, like, we're going to have a chance to start putting everything into motion, but right now it's just, like, enjoying the process. Mm-hmm. Like, what does that process of creation look like? What does that feel like, that process of creation? Yeah. And so I think that's a lot of the energy that we're in right now. Mm-hmm. It's also interesting, you know, like I said, it's a lot of closing of cycles and stuff like that going on. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to note a couple things about Mars right now. These are just sort of other asides to the energy that I think are kind of important to be aware of. Mm-hmm. And so we have Mars and Capricorn right now squaring Black Moon Lilith and Chiron, who are still conjunct. So we still have that healing of the feminine going on. And when that's squaring Mars is a masculine energy. Mars is in the sign of Capricorn right now, which is the energy of authority. And so we have Chiron and Black Moon Lilith in Aries, which is a very kind of like, you know, nobody can tell me what to do. I'm the master of my own domain. I master my own energy. Yep. I am my own person in this sense with Black Moon Lilith. Like, I am my own woman. Like, that energy that is Black Moon Lilith. That makes sense. To begin with. She's in that energy coming up against the masculine energy in that energy of authority. So, and we have the lunar nodes are activated during this new moon as well and beyond. So I think also we're going to be coming up on some closing of and some healing of cycles and karmic and ancestral patterns around sort of this authoritarian male energy and how the feminine has felt suppressed and repressed by that masculine energy and sort of that power struggle, those power dynamics. Mm-hmm. And so it's important to note that this is going on the collective level, because that could kind of pop up, especially, you know, we're in Mercury retrograde season, so communication's a little bit off. Sometimes we're working and processing from a different part of our brains. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we speak without thinking, or we aren't able to communicate things quite in the way that we would like. Mm. And this could potentially lead to problems. There could be just wounds that are being triggered that we didn't even know we had, that may not even be our own personal wounds, around this sort of male, female, masculine, feminine dominance, power dynamics. Mm-hmm. And so if we feel those issues flaring up, just taking a moment to kind of step back from that before speaking. And maybe just sending out some healing and love to the collective and to those aspects of ourselves, those masculine and those feminine aspects of ourselves that are hurting a little bit, you know, and just sending that love, because like we talked about this in the other video too, it's all about love and forgiveness. Yeah. It's forgiving anyone who's ever harmed us intentionally or unintentionally, and forgiving ourselves, because we've all played both sides. We've all played both parts. And just knowing that, like, it's a healing process that's happening, and that's a beautiful thing, but sometimes that can look like those old wounds being triggered. and that can get a little dicey. So that's definitely an energy to be aware of that's coming up. That's something that I think we've been clearing and working through for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be a little more pronounced over the next month or so because that aspect is going to continue. Mm-hmm. But it is going on right now. So that's definitely something to be aware of. We've got, like I said, a lot of planets aspecting the nodes of the moon as well. So this has to do with past life stuff, a lot of karmic stuff. So we're closing out not only our own cycles, but also cycles for the entire collective and our ancestral lines around all kinds of different things. And so there may be even emotions that are coming up that aren't necessarily ours, that we may not even understand. Yeah. And just being loving and being patient with ourselves, and really kind of looking when we feel as though we want to respond to something that somebody says or somebody does, and just look at like what's my intention behind that? What is being brought up for me when this person acts this way or says this thing or does this thing, and like, is that even mine? And if it isn't mine, like, definitely, I can let that go with love, and that's healing that for the collective. And if it is mine, I can let that go with love.
I know.
And that's healing for me, and it's healing for the collective. Yeah. So we're tying up a lot more than just our own loose ends right now. And it's a powerful, powerful time, but that can be confusing. So it's definitely some stuff to be noted. On top of all of that, we have Mars, who is also right now in the same position that he was in when we had the eclipse on December 26th. So this, for some people, if there was anything strongly going on in our lives around that time, this can be bringing some of that energy back around too, for us to close out. Maybe we're getting a deeper understanding of a situation or something that was brought to light during that time. Yeah. Maybe we're finally being able to conclude or make a decision that we hadn't been able to make during that time. Something is coming full circle around that for some people as well. So that's another big energy to kind of be aware of. Mars he's doing some interesting stuff right now. The masculine and the feminine astrologically are doing some really interesting stuff. And yeah, it's definitely fascinating to kind of note and pay attention to. So yeah, those are just some other little things that are going on at the same time that we have this general overall just sort of receptive, mysterious, flowing sort of Piscean energy going on.
That makes a lot of sense, though. As you were saying that, I was feeling like as the feminine energy is being guided to be receptive. Then that Mars energy is coming in. It's like, no, you have to take action and do this and that. Yeah. It's like, but no, I just want to rest and be. So like that inner dialogue,
Yeah, there's definitely, and that can be seen also just in between like the contrast of Pisces and Capricorn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Is just, there's going to be a part of us that always, it's just sort of, especially in Western society, the way we're programmed, which is that we're always supposed to be doing, accomplishing. Yeah. And nobody really, we're starting to understand more that self-care is really important, and that has to be part of that process, and like the resting and the rejuvenation is essential. But we still don't fully understand that. And so we feel, on one hand, I think, this sort of pressure to always be doing something. Yeah. And then also, it's in the energy right now. So there's a big part of us that has that desire. But it's just, we're being given that opportunity to, even in those moments where we feel as though we should be doing, to take a step back and not. Yeah. Like, that's the challenge. But could we not right now? Right? And absolutely. We are absolutely capable of taking that break and taking that breath and taking that step
giving
back.
Ourselves permission to do that.
Yeah.
That came up this morning in a meditation I did. it was created by indigo, and she said, I give myself permission. And I forget what it was after that, but I just remember specifically her saying, I give myself permission. Yeah. And I kept saying that throughout the day. I was like, I give myself permission to be present. Like, I give myself permission to be in... I was showering, so I was like, I give myself permission to enjoy this hot water on my body. Okay, I'm in the shower. Like, just redirecting back to that. It's... Yeah.
And I like that too, because it's also the whole idea of like, I don't need anybody else to give me permission. I can give myself permission to do what feels good for me. And to know what feels right for me. And I don't need you to tell me what's right for me. I am in a place where I'm able to understand that for myself. And I can give myself permission to go after that which resonates with my soul. Yep. And that's, you know, really what the Pisces energy is all about. It's what resonates. So it is the soul, the energy of the soul.
Yeah, like, there's an element around the Pisces energy that, even though it's really flowy and emotional, it's like, whenever it feels like it's going to be restricted by something, it won't have it. Yeah. Like, my son's a Pisces. I've dated Pisces men before. Like, I've been around Pisces a lot, and my moon's in Pisces. So just, and with the emotions, and it just makes so much sense with that energy. It's like, the energy is very loving and caring, but also if you try and restrict that energy or limit it somehow... Yeah,
because it can't be contained. Yeah, you know, it is that energy of all that is, and there's no way to contain. Yeah, to contain that energy. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So don't fight the energy. Don't try to contain it. Don't try to put yourself or anybody else in a little box right now. Yeah. Because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. We're learning how to flow outside the confines of that box right now. Yeah. We're learning, I mean, if we really want to get into it, we can say we're learning that the box never really existed at all. It's just an illusion. Right? You know? Well, it's the mental constructs and the thought forms and the systems that were created essentially by us because we're all one to keep us safe or contained. You know, but those illusions are being illuminated, and that's why I love the Pisces, this new moon in Pisces energy, because it's very much like, I'm just gonna flow with it, because resistance is too painful. And that's actually really interesting that you bring that up, because we do have the Capricorn energy, which does stand for that energy of the societal constructs and the discipline, and structure and authority. And then we've got that Pisces energy pushing up against it. So it's like, in one way they're complementing each other, but in another way they're sort of like, Pisces is sort of exposing that and all the kinks in that. And sort of like, I mean, this energy it's pervasive. It's swallowing everything up. That's how I feel. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. You know, I try to. It actually took me a while to even put anything cohesive together around my thoughts about this new moon, because I was just feeling that. I was just swallowed up by that energy. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just Pisces. Like, just flow with it. Yeah. You know, like, that could be the entire video. You know, just fucking flow.
That makes so much sense.
Kick back and enjoy the ride and wherever it takes you.
I just imagined or like saw this vision of like this huge like river, like going super fast, and like that's the energy, and we're just floating along. Floating along with the rapid energy. So. Yeah. Makes sense.
It does. So. You want to pull a couple cards on it?
I sure do.
Yeah.
Just get comfy here. All right. Spirit, can we please have some cards for this new moon in Pisces? What do you have for us? New moon in Pisces. A lot of purple cards today. Yeah. A time for healing. A new start is coming. Well, that's fitting.
Yeah.
This actually represents the new moon.
Oh, yeah, the new moon card, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're healing, which we talked about.
Yep.
And the new start is coming. It's like, yeah, I want to pull one more for these, and then I want to see what the Ascended Masters have to say about that energy. Especially with the Capricorn and the Pisces. I'm a little bit curious about, like, what the guidance will be around that. Don't let pride get in your way. Yeah, so if there's any fear around just flowing, like, sometimes the ego can, like, it can represent, like, not wanting to be, like, flowing with the energy. Like, I'm just imagining someone, like, looking around, like, who's watching me? Like, if I'm not, if I'm not behaving the same way as I always was, then people are going to judge me or something like that. But just flowing with that and allowing that new start to come in, which we talk about in the portal energy, in timeline shifting, which also makes sense because this one specifically says a time for healing, which my attention was just brought to the word time. A new start is coming. And this is in regards to not allowing, like, your fears to prevent that new beginning from coming in.
Yeah. Who do I want to be?
Yeah.
What kind of life do I want for myself?
Yeah.
What is it that I'm looking to manifest? And can I give myself permission to have that?
Yeah.
Going back to that. Or am I too worried about what other people will think about that process?
Yeah, and sometimes in the Pisces energy that can come up a lot. Like the insecurities around judgment and not feeling loved and accepted because it's such an emotional energy. So it's so sensitive too. So the ego can really try to step in and prevent the person from getting hurt. So we got Master Buddha, increased awareness, deep connection, trust your inner voice. Yeah, so trust your intuition because that's all about the Pisces energy. And the Shekinah,
yes.
Sacred self. Unleash your spirit, express your gifts, dance to the sacred rhythm of life. That's perfect. Unleash your spirit. And it's funny because it's like right under the don't let pride get in the way. I'm just imagining like this spirit wanting to come through the being. And then the pride coming in and being like, no, this is the way we have to be. This is the way we've always been. Son. don't
it's the
change.
way we've always done it. Don't rock the
boat. Don't move. But because the increased awareness is there, it makes it really challenging to do that, to continue in those patterns that aren't serving you because of the awareness that's already there. So it really creates a lot of unnecessary suffering when we allow our pride to run the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that sacred self is emerging. That's beautiful. And she also has the new moon on her third eye.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Which is really cool. Yeah, so just flow with the energies and allow those emotions to come through and feel what you're feeling without judgment and just ride that wave, baby. Ride that wave.
Yeah, and what I had just had was this vision of sort of the way that the Pisces and the Capricorn energies can meld. So it's sort of like we're allowed to create our own rules.
Yeah.
We're allowed to create our own systems, our own structure for how we do things. And I think that, I mean, in the world in general right now, that's kind of something that's happening. Is, we've got Pluto in Capricorn right now. Like, all those old structures and old ways of doing things are being demolished. And we're creating a new, it's the new earth that we're creating right now. We're creating this new vibration, this new way of living. And it's like we can all do that for ourselves in our own lives as well. And so we can Capricorn energy is that structure, and it's that status, and it's all those things, but like that structure can be whatever we want it to be. So allowing this intuitive Piscean energy to show us what is the structure that I want to build for my life. Like what are my rules? What feels morally right to me? What feels right? What resonates with my soul? And how do I create that? Because I'm allowed to do that. You know, we're all allowed to do that. We're all the authority
to do that.
Yes, I have the power. I am the authority of my own life.
I trust my divinity.
Yes. Yeah, you know, and as long as we are honoring our own soul and we're not harming others, deliberately setting out to harm others, like we're allowed to create those structures and those beliefs for ourselves. And that goes back again to what we were talking about earlier with the belief systems.
Yeah.
It's like all of that stuff. I can decide what I want to create.
Yep.
And this energy is really giving us a chance to really tap into that.
In like a really light way, though, which is nice. It's not so dense.
Right.
It's very light, I feel.
Yeah, I feel that too. And I feel like a lot of times Mercury retrograde can feel really dense.
Yeah.
Depending, but it's really not that kind of an energy right now. I was a bit, you know, I always talk to people about not getting all wrapped up and worried about Mercury retrograde. But at the same time, there is a part of me that's still a little hesitant, like, oh, fuck, how is this going to go?
I know.
But now that we're getting into it, I'm like, no, this actually feels really good.
It does.
You know, just allowing ourselves to be in that flow and to just take that tour of our subconscious. Take that tour of, you know, what's going on underneath the surface of our own emotions, of our own our desires, and be open to seeing a new perspective and a new possibilities, and how we can use that Capricorn energy to create that.
Yeah.
When the time comes for that, you know, when that new start. It is approaching, but when it gets here, you know, we'll know the time to act. If we get in touch with our sacred selves, and we're flowing down that river, we're dancing that sacred dance, we're in the motion and the movement of that, and just learning how to trust. You know, that's a lot of what this is about too. Is it's learning how to trust our soul. First, we forgive ourselves and others. We forgive our soul. We learn how to honor our soul. And we learn how to trust our soul. You know, and it's kind of, they're all the same. It's, you know, I made it sound sort of like a step-by-step process, but it's really all one process. And it's that process of, honoring and trusting our soul. Like, my soul knows what's best for me. It's what my highest self wants is ultimately what my soul wants as well. And it's always trying to guide me and lead me to the place that I need to be if I know how to listen. And that's what this you know, Pisces new moon is helping to teach us how to do, is how to listen, and then how to listen, how to respond, and then how to allow that process of honoring our soul to come about. You know, getting in touch with that and getting to the place where we're willing to listen to what our soul has to say, and we're not pushing it down anymore. Like, okay, that's cool. Like, you want that. That's okay, but like not right now. Or like, yeah, but that doesn't really fit in with the timeline of like where I think my life is headed, or where society thinks my life is headed, or, you know, what's going on right now. So like, thank you for sharing, but like, shh. Yeah. You know, it's like, no, like our soul is speaking, and we're being given this opportunity to listen and act upon what it's telling us. And when we do that, when we act upon those highest aspirations of our soul, like we're going to be protected, and we're going to be supported, because that's what the universe wants for us.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I love that. That was so beautiful.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
So welcome, New Moon in Pisces. And also, if you want some extra guidance in regards to that, I do have New Moon tarot readings that I can do, and then we can look into Akashic Records, and every reading is tailored specifically for that person. yeah, so the links are below. Just send me an email if you would like a personal tarot reading.
Yeah, and if you would like an energy healing, please contact me. My info is below as well. I specialize in Belvaspata, which is angelic healing of the heart. It's a really beautiful modality that was downloaded as a response to the changing ascension energies on the planet, and it can really help to navigate these changing energies, really open up our heart center, open up and get our chakras moving, get all that stagnant energy out of there, really open us up to being able to be more in alignment, so we're tapping into this beautiful energy that we're feeling right now more easily and more effortlessly, and just in that space of like calm and peace and forgiveness and love. So yes, please absolutely reach out to either one of us if you're interested in your services.
Yeah.
Please like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
If you like us and you don't want to miss more videos. The more people like and subscribe, the more our message gets out to as many people as possible, because that's why we do this. You know, we want to share the love, we want to share the information, the inspiration, just everything that we're receiving, and help as many people as possible to take those steps to living, you know, their best life.
Yeah, it's in alignment with our soul mission.
Yeah.
And anchoring in a new way of living, rather than working at a job that we hate or something of that nature. But there are certain people that have already begun to live in their life's purpose and allow that flow to come through. So that's also our intention with a lot of this, is to align our mission with being of service to the earth, and being able to provide that full time as well. So we love you so much, and it really is such an honor. And so,
we are manifesting, and we are part of that process of anchoring in that new timeline, that collective timeline where people are able to live and to provide and be provided for in a way that fits and resonates with their soul, and spend their time just dedicated to providing this transformation and this information, and having that be what we do. And so this is kind of cool. We were talking about it the other day. It's sort of a process where like you guys are watching in real time as we begin that process of anchoring in this new timeline and this new reality for ourselves. And every single person that anchors that in, then like Kayla was saying, makes it that much easier for the next person to do so. So it's a really, really interesting, exciting, and fascinating process that we're embarking on.
Yeah, we are all one. So
that's it.
We love you. Thank you so much. Happy new moon in Pisces.